Hello and welcome back to Floor Planner. My name is Bob, and as I always say, I am all about customer success, and I'm here for you all. So we're making a recording today to talk about the recent updates. They come out on a monthly basis. We like to do an active recap of them on a monthly basis. So there are about 5 new featured tools that were updated to the Floor Planner Pro platform last month, and I'm going to go ahead and go through them with you currently. So let's start with, where do you find that list of updates as they come out available? Certainly you can follow Floor Planner on multiple social medias out there. Personally, I like to follow on Twitter. Programmers have a wonderful tendency to go ahead and tweet out those updates right away, but if you didn't follow on Twitter, you can certainly see them show up on your dashboard. So let's go to my dashboard. I'll log in as me, and this is my account with Floor Planner. Let's go to my dashboard in the upper left-hand corner. And dashboard, you have this great right-hand sidebar that has been added recently. And this second tab down where it says new features, this is where the recent updates are going to be posted, starting with the most current one will be rising right to the top, right up here. And if you want to see all of the updates that have been created and added to your platform, go ahead and hit the More button. And then with the More button, you can scroll from the most current and go backwards in time. And I would invite you to go ahead and go backwards. If you haven't done this before, take a look. You might find some features that you may not have become aware of during the time you've been utilizing Floor Planner. During our last recording, of course, I got really excited about this. This is a really cool one. This is where we left off, which was about the surfaces, and that surfaces can now have thickness. I find incredible value to this because you know that surfaces also accept materials. So now you can take a surface, apply a material to it, and actually give it not paper thin, but you can actually give it volume. So you can create all kinds of things. Kind of curious as to how you all are doing with that. And I hope you're having some fun with it, because I've been adventuring into it and finding all kinds of uses for this new feature. But that was last month. So let's talk about something new. We're going to talk about these 5 new updates that came out, starting with, we're going to talk about, have some fun with this. Choose your own personality. Now, choose your default avatar, because there's an avatar associated with your account, and you can kind of change what you look like or how you feel that day. We'll play with that a little bit. Sidebars. Yeah, I keep talking about the value of this, the right-hand sidebar and the left-hand sidebar. We're going to talk about that left-hand sidebar because it has some new advances in it. And tip for power users: by double-clicking on any element, left-clicking, double-clicking, any element or even your walls, you can go ahead and be advanced straight to a settings tab. I'll show you that for sure. And then we're going to talk about we have the access to the 150,000 assets within Floor Planner, the ones you can change the width, depth, and height of, not just furniture, but all the accessories, all the architectural items. But beyond even that database within Floor Planner, there are now real products that are associated with, let's say we've added 30,000 products in our library with the logo and the retailers that are utilizing and distributing those products. So those are available too. And now there's a link in that actual asset. I'll show you where you can find that. So you can find out more information about that specific item and even how to buy it, how to do the purchasing on them. Next, we're going to be talking about the custom text labels. Now, you've got all kinds of labels inside Floor Planner. They operate like text boxes. You probably are familiar with this already, but they're floating text boxes inside your project. This new feature allows you to actually assign a text box to a specific asset, specific item. even the walls and rooms. So it stays associated with that specific asset. Maybe an identifier, like you're looking at a desk example here, like whose desk is whose desk in a room. Plus, maybe you want to put a specific SKU or some piece of information associated with that specific item that you always want to show. And every time you move that item, that information will now move with that item versus being just a floating text box. And then we're going to talk about what I'm totally psyched about is all these new 3D handlers we talked about before, how you can work in 3D. And now you have so many more advances with navigation, where you can use certainly a mouse and keyboard, use them on your tablets with your stylus and your Apple Pencil and such. Really makes it very, very powerful to actually work in 3D and make your modifications. Yet there's even more that has been added recently. Again, we're talking about these options with the settings on the left-hand sidebar. When you select the item in 3D, there's even newer items that have been added in the past month, and still more yet to come. So let's keep our eyes open for all of the above. But we're going to go ahead and start with yeah, fun. Let's play with the avatars, and let's go into our dashboard, or my dashboard, upper left hand corner for me. Okay, welcome to my dashboard. If you want to find out where those avatars and how you can change what your face looks like up here, your little identification, it's through your profile settings, the upper left hand corner, and go down to your account settings. And inside account settings, there's my nickname, although a little formal for a nickname. There's me, and there's my personal profile, personal, and there's your pull down right here for your avatars. And inside your avatars, we can find sort of that hair color sort of thing going on. If I felt a little more blonde today, or really truly having fun, we can go for the puppy dog, or if I'm feeling kind of inspirational with the unicorn. Yeah, we could have a, oh yeah, all kinds of fun, depending on our mood of the day. And if you want to get a little bit more realistic, you can actually upload your own image and do custom with this. So let's go ahead and choose a file. I have one sitting on my desktop somewhere. Yeah, there's me. And say open. And if I want to assign that to my avatar, just say apply. There I am. If I want that to be my new direction is how I want to be identified with our account, I could just go ahead and leave that in there. And when you make that modification, go up to save in the upper right-hand corner. And that'll be updated. And there I am. If I have a mood change and I feel more like the giraffe that day, I certainly could go back in here and make that modification. Kind of fun. I hope you have an enjoyable time just exploring a little self-identity inside Floor Planner. Next tab down, let's talk about the sidebar updates that have occurred. So let's go into my projects as an example. And of course, you do know about the left-hand sidebar when you select an item in your dashboard, a specific project. You can double click the icon to open your project, or on the left-hand side, you have all this information available to you at a glance of everything about that project, or hit open over here also. So I'm just going to double click and open the project. But that's not the left-hand sidebar we want to be talking about. So in here, you know, if you left click on an item once, you get the left-hand sidebar and all the information there about that specific item. Now, we talked about that sort of power user identity for that. So yeah, we can go in here and we could take the time to open up settings. Inside settings, you know, you can change your width, depth, and height of the standard items within Floor Planner, not the dedicated ones to a specific retailer. And you can raise it from the floor and you can change its rotation, which you know you can also do these features in 3D. And then down here in the lower left-hand corner, you now have them in your left-hand sidebar that you can actually make a copy, rotate, flip it left and right. There is the push down. Some people get confused with the push down. Push down is pretty simple. For the most part, items automatically find themselves at their proper levels, like furniture drags in on elevation 0. Sometimes you may have some item floating up in the air that has a specific surface, the floor or other than that surface below it, that it needs to be sitting on top of. And if it's having a little difficulty finding its home for some reason, you can hit that push down and it'll actually push it to the most immediate level directly below it. Although for the most part, like I said, most items are truly finding themselves to their proper homes in an automated sort of way. You can also select the delete tab over here, and you still have the mini menu over here, these little mini edit bubbles, if you will, in the same sense, right at the item. So you have it on your left-hand sidebar now, a little bit of an addition to it. Now, that was going to the settings tab on the left-hand side. The power user notation to speed you up a little bit is you can actually just double click on that item and takes you right to the settings. So you didn't have to find the settings tab to actually go to it. So just double clicking with your left mouse click, you can go right to this power over here on the left-hand side. And that also works for the idea of a single click on your room or double click on your room to go right into the room settings, which is where you can certainly turn on your generating ceiling or showing the square footage of your room. It also works on walls. So if you go single click on your wall, you have that information on your wall on your left sidebar. But if you double click on the wall, you go right to the settings of that wall. So I think that gives you a little new information, and certainly the power user double click. Have fun with that for sure. So let's talk. Let's talk about the products maybe that are in this specific project. Logo and link to real products. So Barcelona chair down here. Love Barcelona chairs. Very classic. Mies van der Rohe. Let's left click on this particular item. And sure enough, in its left-hand sidebar, you now have the logo up here of the fact that this is from a company distributing this item, Design Within Reach. And you have the logo of that company. You've got the listing up here in the upper left-hand corner. Didn't know it was a registered trademark for Barcelona. Cool. The dimensions, of course, and if it's a specific real item being distributed by a retailer and distributor, you will not be able to change its width, depth, and height. The generic library within Floor Planner, there's 150,000 assets. You have this ability to do this for customization of size, but this being a real product, you won't have that same option. And the tab I want to emphasize is the Visit Store tab up here. So if you hit the Visit Store, it will actually take you straight away right to the website for Design Within Reach. There's a Barcelona chair right there, the item that we had selected, the different colors that are available to you out there in the World Wide Web through Design Within Reach. And you can actually go further to visit beyond just all the information and data about that item being in here. And we can even get help with a professional. You can add it to the cart and you can actually make the purchase straight away, right from here. So Floor Planner takes you right to the source. Let's go back to Floor Planner Plan for a second. Okay. And custom text labels. Okay, this is really cool. So we got two desks in here. I don't know whose desk is whose desk, who's going to be using which one. Excuse me. So let's look at left clicking once, and there's all the information on the left-hand sidebar. We talked about that before, and we can go to settings, or we could just double click the item with that power user feature that we just talked about. Double click, left click. There we go. And at the upper left-hand corner, here's this custom label. So maybe any piece of information that a text box sort of format, but it's going to be that text box is going to be linked and associated with that asset. So every time you move the asset, the text box will go with it. Maybe it's just something as simple as identifying this to be Susan's desk. Who's going to be actually sitting at this desk? Susan, maybe a capital on her. Let's see, Susan. And you can say show in 2D. It's a toggle switch right there. So it'll actually be showing in 2D. And there it is. And you can reposition that text also. So if I wanted to move Susan's desk, Susan will go with Susan's desk. We can go over here and say, well, maybe this is going to be David's desk. Same idea. We can go double click this for the power users, or take the time, left click and go to settings and maybe make this David's desk and show in 2D and reposition David in there. Cool. So now you've got, again, this is nothing but a label, but it's a label associated with the asset, so it will follow suit with it. Now you might want to put a notation even with the wall. I could double click on the walls or single click, but double click for the power user to go right to its settings. And it also, maybe there's something you wanted to say about that specific wall, that this is a maybe a full height wall, and it's white. And show in 2D. And you can take that same notation and you can even go ahead and reposition it somewhere a little bit better to have that information up there. Now you can even do this for the room itself. So I could single click on the room, and you also have settings about the room, or I could double click, power user move, and you get the label up here in the upper left-hand corner. Now, I could type in something about this room, some sort of notation that's going to be specific with the room. It's just a label. It's just a text box piece of information associated with that room. I want to just quickly make a notation that there's no artificial intelligence or anything more so than the fact that these are labels, or labels linked to specific assets now. But don't forget that you still want to work towards identifying a room type for your room, because rooms don't know what they are. It's not just a label. There's actually a little knowledge that goes with it, a little artificial intelligence in the background that works progressively towards the room styles that we assigned in the future. But it all starts with the room type. So again, beyond just labels, there is this room type. Just a little side note that when you left click once, you see the room type up here. This room has never been named. So in here, you could actually go ahead and find your room type category. Maybe it's, for the fact that you are building a house, and inside houses, it could be a living room, etc. This is still a label on this room, yet it knows the room is actually a living room. So that's not to confuse labels and room types, just to make sure we're cool on that. But otherwise, certainly put those labels on the assets of the furniture and allow them to travel with that piece on your plan. Let's take a look at, this will be the 5th update. Let's go into 3D. Take a look at our room. Okay, there's our Barcelona chair. And a little desk area over here. Now, we know that we can go ahead and, while we're in 3D, we can left click on any item. And again, doing this with a mouse and keyboard as I am right now, or if you're working on a tablet with a stylus or an Apple Pencil with an Apple iPad, you can go ahead and grab that item and you can actually move it anywhere on the floor while you're in 3D. You can also go ahead and rotate it. You can also move it orthogonally, and you can also lift it up in the air and change its elevation. Well, those are basic tools that we've talked about before. Yet now, if you go into the settings tab up here on the left-hand corner, again, the left-hand sidebar and settings, you have some new features in here. You could, depending on what item this happens to be, this particular item does have the ability to change its width, depth, and height. Raise from floor, rotation, those are the items we were just doing with the handlers. Yet now you have this set of mini icons down here across the bottom that you can now rotate it 90 degrees the other direction. You can flip it left and right doesn't make too much difference with that chair. Remember we just talked about push down. So if you're having some difficulty when you're seeing it in 3D and you want to get it to the level immediately below, although right now it is sitting on the ground, you could hit push down. What I find really valuable as this new row of information has come available to you, these new tools, is delete. So actually, while you're working in 3D, you don't have to hop back into 2D to do a deletion of an item. You can actually delete this item right here while you're actually in 3D. So I hope this has been enlightening for you. I appreciate you joining me again for another recording of our updates, and I look forward to sharing more information with you again in a future video. Have a great day. Thank you.